welcome to episode 63 of the Regal Live series. I am Vivek Agrawal and I'm excited to host today's session on a thought provoking topic: coachability and coach ability. We are honored to have Subramani Balakrishnan, Mani we like to call him, an accomplished coach, mentor, and leader as our guest today. With over 26 years of diverse experience across corporate leadership, entrepreneurship, and coaching, Mani has worked with top executives, senior leaders, and CXOs, helping them unlock their true potential. His experience is backed by PCC credentials from ICF and advanced credentials accreditations from the MCC. Beyond coaching, Mani is an ICF mentor coach, a PCC assessor, NLP practitioner, design thinker, and a passionate student of transaction analysis. His commitment to continuous learning and simplifying complex ideas is truly inspiring. In today's session, we'll explore what makes someone coachable, how does a coach's ability shape success, and what truly creates a meaningful coaching relationship. Let's deep dive into this enriching conversation. Welcome, Mani, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Vivek, for that very effusive welcome. And it's good to be talking with you. You yourself come with a lot of experience on the professional side. So this topic actually sits at the very heart of personal and professional transformation, because when we talk about coachability and ability of a coach, these are the concepts which are at the foundation of any impactful coaching relationship. In fact, this topic is much bigger than both of us, but I think we'll try to bring in our own experience and see what we can share about it.
Thank you, Mani. I think it's an honor to host you here and to be talking about coachability and its impact. So, Mani, with your vast experience coaching senior leaders and CXOs, how would you define coachability? And why do you think it plays such a pivotal role in the success of a coaching relationship?
So, when we think of the word coachability, Vivek, the simplest of the question which come to my mind is everyone coachable? Right? And theoretically, I would say yes. Everyone who can think, who can feel, who can choose, who can act is coachable. Uh, but are they coachable at any given point of time is also a additional question to ask. So at a practical level, I would say all these conditions to be able to think, feel, choose, they are necessary, but they are not sufficient. Is my sense. So if I have to look at coachability, I would say, you know before I talk about that, I want to give an example here. uh, Bill Campbell, who is known as the $1 trillion coach, and incidentally this is a book we are discussing in the Regal book club. There's a wonderful incident in this book where Jonathan Rosenberg describes his first interaction with Bill Campbell, where he goes for an interview at Google and he's almost sure to get the job, and the only question which Bill asks him is, are you coachable? And Jonathan Rosenberg replies saying that it depends on the coach. And Bill Campbell is ruffled, and he just gets up and says, "Smart Alexa, not coachable." And that's such beautifully described. But Rosenberg, Jonathan understands that what he said was probably not right, and he thinks about it, and he asks him further conversation. So that very question which Bill asks, "Are you coachable?" forms the crux of that whole dialogue after that. So someone like Bill Campbell, who worked with the top leaders like Eric Schmidt, Larry Page, Steve Jobs, what made these leaders coachable is a question which can probably help us learn about what this is all about. I think the biggest thing which comes is their openness to being challenged and their willingness to adapt. Right. So if you look at someone who is willing to look at themselves as they are, do they have the courage to look at it? Are they willing to look at uh, do they have that humility to learn from someone who is giving them feedback? Is there any intent to act and change? I think these are some of the things which probably come. So if you have to ask me a couple of words which probably form part of coachability, it will be readiness and courage to look at yourself as you are, not as you would want to project yourself or to show yourself something different. Do you have that humility to learn, to pick up from what is coming your way and change, and then the intent to act and change as and when needed? I think these are the three things I would say are core part of coachability.
Thank you, Mani. I think intent to act, very important point you have touched upon. I just want to share one line about from my experience. I do get assignments from corporates, and I have found that I have found some people not found very coachable. Not judging them, but yes, I have experienced that. Sometimes it get difficult to coach them and take them deeper. So if I ask you, how a coach can identify and address barriers to coachability?
So what comes to my mind is, that there is this book by Shane Parrish called Clear Thinking, and he talks about three defaults which are barriers to clear thinking, and I think they apply very well to coachability. He says there are three barriers to the way we be: the emotion default, the ego default, and there is a social default. So emotion default is when we react or where we think from feeling. We are just responding to whatever is happening in the moment. Ego is where we are looking at self-preservation. We talk from hierarchy. And social is where we belong to an ideology we are not willing to change. I think these three barriers are there as a barrier to coachability also. When people think, when you give a feedback to someone and they take it emotionally or from a state of ego or from a social belonging status, right? It's very difficult to break those barriers. So the default behaviors which come to thinking clearly are also the barriers which come in the way of coachability. And if I have to look at someone who's coachable, one thing which I would want to see is there an evidence of change? Is there something which they have changed, which they have really looked at as not being right or not being good enough or not being in the way they would want it to be, and therefore they have taken specific action to change? I think that's what would probably be the evidence for me.
I would just second that. So, someone sharing their evidence of change, I think that can be a good place and good way to identify if someone is coachable. And I can very well relate with some of my coaching conversations also. And thank you once again for sharing. So, Mani, we just talked about coachability. And I also want to touch about on the coach's ability aspect, which can help us build
Yeah.
coaching relationships. So, if I ask you, how much of the success in a coaching relationship do you think depends on the coach's ability? What qualities or skills a coach must bring on the table to ensure a great impact?
So it's the flip side of the same coin, Vivek. If you think about coachability, what we are talking about, what is it that coach can do to help the client see themselves? What is it that coach can do so that they can help the client learn and act? What is it that coach can do so that the client can take responsibility for change? I think that differentiation is really important. So when we talk about accountability in a coaching relationship, we talk about the accountability of process lying with the coach. And process is not a small word in terms of just some steps to be followed, but all the things which go into creating the trust, that safety, that environment where someone can open up and see. And the responsibility or the accountability for change, that is the awareness and the action and the result, is on the side of the client. That's how the partnership gets formed. So when we talk about coach's ability, it's not just those skills and competencies. It's some basic things which are part of the being of a coach, like listening actively, or asking questions which come up in that moment. That ability to form those relationships, and I think the crux of all of it is the mutual respect, looking at the client as they are, without really judging them or without bringing in our own biases, trusting in the self first of all as a coach, that they are capable, and also in the client and in the process. I think it's a very multi-layered kind of process. And then finally letting go. I think that's something which I find a important aspect of ability of a coach. So this realization that what's happening in a coaching engagement is happening through the coach, not because of the coach. I think that's something which I have learned, in so far in my journey, because you are there as an instrument, and something happens there because of your, some part of it is your ability, but a lot of it is because you're being there.
I think very strong point you mentioned. It's through the coach, not by the coach. And awesome. So I have a different point of view. Not different point of view. I would just share experience again, coming from that past experience of corporate coaching, and I'm sure you already being
Yeah.
coaching senior leaders in the organizations. Not all people, not all leaders which the corporate, the sponsor assigns for coaching, uh, they take those sessions very seriously, you know. So I somewhere I'm just thinking what a coach can do to make them more coachable. I would say if we are able to identify that someone is someone has a gap which we see as a coachability issue, what can a coach do
Hmm.
make the person coachable? I think that's very interesting and important.
I think, yeah, it's a wonderful point, Vivek. I want to ask a counter question, and then let's try and together answer it. Can a coach really make someone coachable? Is something which came to my mind as you were asking. I mean, I feel it would be too arrogant of us as coach to think like that. And why I'm
Yeah,
saying this is that I think every person has a desire to grow. It is that, do they feel that coaching is the way which can help them grow? And I think
yeah,
that awareness is may not be there a lot of time when someone is nominated for, whether it's a corporate or someone else sponsors a person for coaching. So I think one of the things which coach can bring to the table is helping the person become aware as to what is this about, and how it could be different from other instruments or other ways of growth, like mentoring or even consulting at times, right? That's one. Second point is that people who come for the first meeting even with a reluctance, when there is a safe environment, there is a trusting place, when there is an attempt to build a relationship with a genuine intent, I think there is an opening up happens. And this is something which, I can vouch for, which I have seen even in the complete strangers, people turning up for a conversation just to know what coaching is about, and them opening up and talking about so many things. And some of them have ended the conversation saying, I don't know why I opened so much and said so many things to you, right? So I think that is what coach can do. Can we create that safe and trusting environment? Can we build that relationship? Can we be there, in a way where the person feels that I am the most important person at this moment sitting in front of this coach? I think that's probably the best we can do, and then hope that some part of it touches them and helps them become aware of what coaching can do for them.
I think great learning for me here, and I'm sure I'm just whenever I go back to those sessions, I'll have this learning from this session at the back of my mind. So this also ignites a question in my mind, Money. Is coaching truly for everyone? What do you think on this?
So I feel there are many powerful ways to help a person grow. Why I think coaching is really powerful, and it can be for everyone who's looking to you know find out their potential, as we talk about, is coaching is a very inside out kind of process. So when we are talking about, we all say it in a cliched way that we coach the person, but it truly is that, really. If you look at it, even when a person brings a problem, they have the problem in their mind, but an accomplished coach is looking at how can this person become resourceful so that they can solve their problem. And in that process, it's not just one thing which is happening. It's touching a lot of things in the life of a person. So, what is happening in this process of coaching is that person is evolving, and the coach evolves in the same way. And I feel that that's a blessing. I say that whenever I coach, I get coached as well. So that mutual, benefit which comes through it. So to come back to your question, is everyone really coachable? I think they are. they need, if people are able to identify that need for coaching, I think they are coachable. As long as they feel that they don't need it and then there is no intent to get benefited from it, uh, I think it can't be pushed. So a coach cannot say that I want to coach you. A client has to say that they want to be coached. So the initiative has to come from that side. But as I said, a coach can create that atmosphere to help them understand if coaching is for them or not.
Great, I think. So both the coachability and the coach's ability both play together. I can see what you have just said. A very important
Yeah.
part in building a great coaching relationship and bringing a very strong outcome. Here, I also just had a thought of my from my previous experience once again. You know, so corporate sponsors. I talk about sponsors. So sponsors see your past experience. A lot. So while being at the CXO position when I left my last organization, still when I got these corporate assignments, they were more towards those people who are into the product technology domain in which I have been. So I think it's also
Hmm.
important how the sponsors see you as a coach and see the ability in you
Yes.
as a coach. So when
Yeah.
they assign only those people to you who are from the same background which you have been, that somewhere creates starts to create a doubt. Okay, am I able to coach only those people, and what do they expect from me then? Are they expecting a bit of mentoring as well?
Yeah.
Your comments and your insights into this will really help me.
No, absolutely. What you're saying is right, and I think it has a lot to do with still about the awareness as to what coaching really is, and that understanding that coaching as a process is agnostic of the domain. So you really don't need to know uh, about what exactly goes into doing a person's job in terms of technical ways, right? As long as you know as a person how they do something or who they are, because that's what really we are working with in coaching. So for example, if I come from financial services domain and I'm coaching someone who comes from a energy and environment domain, it can be equally effective, because ultimately how do I know about the client? I know what they tell me, right? I don't go with any preconceived notions. I don't do any kind of research on them. They tell what's going on, and because of that ability to be with them, to ask the questions as they come up in that moment, you're able to know much more. So that curiosity. So where does the domain come into picture? About the domain also, you come to know from the client only what they tell you. So for me, I think there is a lot of responsibility on us as coaches to make the corporate decision makers aware of the, there's no need to be a domain expert to coach a person from a particular area. Like, you don't need to be a sales guy to coach someone in sales, or you don't need to be a technology expert like you have been to coach someone from technology. I think that awareness is something we have a responsibility to build.
Awesome share money, and this is again instilling a lot of confidence in me to go back and talk to them and share that I have wider scope which I can cover. And thank you once again, money, on that. So, with the interest of time, money, I would request you to share some key takeaways or some last sense which you want to share for our audience about how coachability and the coach's ability together can help shape stronger coaching relationships.
So both are necessary, right? So we are talking about them together, right? We said coachability and coachability. So they complement each other. So for any
Yeah.
coaching relationship to thrive, both have to be present. So without coachability, even the most skilled coach cannot make an impact. It's like you keep knocking on a closed door, which is not really going to open. At the same time, without coach's ability, a willing coachee will be left unsupported, right? So they both have to go together. Uh, Also, what I would say is, just taking a cue from what you asked. So for those who are considering hiring a coach, I think you should also reflect, including the organization decision makers, are the people ready to embark on a journey of transformation? So are they really coachable? I think that's a question which people should ask. Also, for people who are looking at becoming coaches, I think this concept, all the questions which I mentioned for a for a client apply to a coach. Are we investing in our own development? Are we investing in becoming more able? Are we learning, reflecting, growing every day? The same thing we have to ask ourselves: are we ready and honest to see ourselves as we are? Do we have the humility to learn and become better coaches?
Yeah.
And is there an intent to act and change if there need be?
Also, I think what you mentioned, self-development every day is the key. Yeah. And coachability and coachability both together will help us build stronger coaching relationship and bring awesome impact from each relationship. And yes, I would definitely go back and see how I can talk to the sponsors and make them also more aware about the coach's ability to coach anyone and not only the people in the same domain. So, what a
Yeah.
truly enriching discussion this has been, Mani. A big thank you to you
I
for
enjoyed all
sharing your,
every moment. Thank you so much, Vivek, for asking those wonderful questions and leading the conversation. Thank you.
your insights have been really incredible on coaching and the coachability and the coach's ability. Your perspective on what makes someone coachable, the critical role of a coach, and the importance of coaching relationship has given us a lot to reflect on. Thank you to our audience for joining us and for your thoughtful questions and engagement. We hope you all found this session very valuable. Before we sign off, I'm excited to share that the new ACC batches are coming up in Delhi and Mumbai this April. Dates will be announced soon, so stay tuned for updates if you are looking to take your coaching journey to the next level. And don't forget to share your key takeaways or thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more insightful episodes of the Regal Life series. Until next time, keep learning, stay coachable, and strive for mindful growth. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mani, once again.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you. Good night. Bye bye.